Right now, in August, you are standing in the single best planting window of the entire year, and almost nobody around you knows it. Not spring. Not that frantic weekend in May when the whole neighborhood is fighting over the same 6 tomato plants. August. This month. The growers who actually understand their seasons are quietly putting in the crop they'll be bragging about in November, while everyone else has mentally closed the garden until next April. Here's what nobody bothered to teach you. The vegetables I'm about to show you don't fight the cold, they feed on it. When the temperature drops, these plants pull a survival trick. They convert the starch stored in their leaves and roots into sugar, essentially making their own antifreeze. And that sugar is the whole secret. The exact same vegetable that turned bitter, bolted, and broke your heart in June becomes crisp, sweet, and honestly better than anything you can buy, precisely because you planted it now instead of then. So August isn't the end of the season. It's the start of the best part of it. 2 quick promises before we dig in. Number 1 on this list is the fastest thing here. You could be eating it before September is even over. And number 9 gets a little sweeter every single time the temperature drops, which means the people who plant it this month are eating the best version of it on Earth in late November, when the grocery store's version is a pale, cottony imposter. Stick around, because a couple of these give you 2 entirely separate harvests from one planting, and most gardeners only ever eat half the plant. Let's get into it. Number 1, radishes. We start with pure speed, because speed is the hook that gets you addicted to fall gardening. Most people file radishes under spring, toss a few in April, forget about them, and never think about them again. That's the miss. Spring radishes get caught by heat on the back end and turn woody and furiously hot. August radishes ripen into cool, falling weather instead, which keeps them crisp, mild, and sweet. And they are absurdly fast. Radish seed germinates in 3 to 5 days. You'll be pulling finished radishes in 22 to 28 days. Do the math. Sow this weekend, and there's a bowl of them on your table before September ends. That's the fastest payoff in the entire garden. Grow a reliable round type like Cherry Belle to start, or French Breakfast if you want the long, mild, 2-tone ones. 2 pro moves. First, don't plant your whole row at once. Sow a short line every 10 days. That's succession sowing, and it turns one boom and bust harvest into a steady 6-week supply, so you're never staring at 40 radishes that all matured on the same Tuesday. Second, and this is the one people get wrong, pull them on time. A radish left in the ground, even a few days past ready, goes hollow, woody, and aggressively hot. Mark the date you sowed, count the days, and harvest on schedule. Radishes punish patience. Number 2, lettuce. If you've ever grown lettuce, you've probably had it betray you. You baby it along, and the second real summer heat arrives, it shoots up a bitter stalk and quits. That's bolting, and it's why so many people decide they're just bad at lettuce. You're not. You were fighting the calendar. In spring, every warm day pushes lettuce toward that bitter finish. In fall, every day cools it down, so it just gets sweeter and more tender the longer it sits. Here's the part nobody tells you. Lettuce seed has a heat problem of its own. Above roughly 80 degrees Fahrenheit, about 27 Celsius, the seed goes dormant and flat out refuses to sprout. That's why your August sowings sometimes just don't come up. The fix is simple. Start seed in the coolest, shadiest corner you've got, or throw a piece of 30 to 40% shade cloth over the bed for the first week to knock the soil temperature down. Once it's up, that same shade buys you extra weeks before it ever thinks about bolting. Baby leaves in about 30 days, full heads in 45 to 55. Reach for slow bolt, heat-tolerant varieties, Jericho, a romaine actually bred for heat, or a loose leaf like black-seeded Simpson. And do yourself a favor. Grow the cut-and-come-again types, harvest the outer leaves, and leave the center growing. 1 planting, weeks of salad. Number 3, carrots. Now the payoff crop. This is the one where that starch-to-sugar trick I mentioned at the top gets genuinely dramatic. And carrots are the crop where you can taste the whole mechanism in a single bite. Here's why fall carrots humiliate spring carrots. As the roots sit in cooling soil, and especially after the first light frost rolls through, for most of us that's somewhere around mid-October, though your exact date shifts by a week or two either way, the carrot floods itself with sugar to protect its cells from freezing. The result is a carrot so sweet it barely tastes like the same vegetable. This is, flatly, the carrot the grocery store has been overcharging you for your entire life without ever actually selling you the real thing. A frost-sweetened, fresh-pulled fall carrot simply isn't a product you can buy. You can only grow it. Carrots take 60 to 75 days, and here's the challenge everyone loses to. The seed is tiny. It can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to germinate, and it must stay damp that entire time, which is brutal in late summer heat that dries the surface out by noon. So use the oldest trick in the book. Sow your seed, water it, then lay a piece of burlap or a plain wooden board flat over the row. It traps moisture and blocks the sun. Peek under it every morning, and the moment you see sprouts, pull the cover off. That one move takes carrots from, why won't they come up, to a near guaranteed stand. Go with a shorter, stockier type like Danvers or Nantes. They push through ordinary soil without needing perfectly deep, loose ground. And the best part, you don't even have to rush the harvest. Carrots hold in the ground through hard frost. Pile some straw over the row and you can walk out and dig sweet carrots in December. Number 4, kohlrabi. Let's break the rhythm, because this one's a curveball most people have never grown. Kohlrabi looks like a little green or purple alien orb sitting on top of the soil. Nobody plants it in spring because in spring it does everything wrong. Heat makes it turn woody and bolt before the bulb ever swells. Fall erases both problems at once. Cool weather keeps the bulb crisp and mild, and the shortening days shut the bolting instinct right off. If you've never tasted it, imagine the sweet heart of a broccoli stem crossed with a crisp apple. Raw, sliced into sticks, it's ridiculous. Roasted, it goes buttery, a little like a milder turnip. It's ready in 45 to 60 days, and here's the single rule that decides whether you love it or hate it. Harvest it small. Pull it when the bulb hits 2 to 3 inches across, about the size of a tennis ball. Let it get bigger than that, and it turns tough and fibrous. White Vienna and purple Vienna are the two you'll find everywhere. They taste identical, so grow the purple one purely because it looks better on the cutting board. Small and early, every time. Number 5, beets. Remember I said some of these give you 2 completely separate harvests? Here's the first one. And most people throw half of it in the compost. Everyone plants beets for the root and completely ignores the top. That's a mistake, because beet greens are one of the finest tender greens you can grow. Earthier than chard, sautéed with garlic in under 2 minutes. So here's the play. Plant beets in August, and about 30 days in, thin the row and eat those tender young tops as your first harvest, then leave the rest to bulk up. And 55 to 70 days in, you pull sweet, cold-firmed roots as your second. 1 sowing, 2 totally different meals. Pull them when the shoulder poking out of the soil is 2 to 3 inches across. Bigger than that, and they start turning woody. Grow kyoja for pure theater. Slice one open and it's ringed like a candy cane bullseye, concentric pink and white circles that make anyone you're cooking for stop and stare, and keep a row of dependable Detroit dark red alongside it for the workhorse roots. One quick thing that trips up beginners. Each beet seed is actually a little cluster that sprouts several plants, so you must thin the seedlings, snip them, don't yank, or you'll get a knot of leaves and no roots. And before we move on, I'm going to be straight with you about the finale. The last crop on this list is the one serious growers physically refuse to eat until the frost has hit it, because that's the moment it turns into something you cannot buy at any store for any amount of money. That's number 9. Everything between here and there is worth planting, but hold on for that one. Number 6, bok choy. Short and punchy, because this one's fast and it fixes a very specific heartbreak. Ever tried bok choy in spring? It bolts almost instantly. Lengthening days and a warm snap send it straight to flower, and it's done before you get a single decent head. Fall flips that switch off completely. Shortening days tell it to build the plant, not race to seed. Baby bok choy is ready in about 30 days, full heads in 45 to 50. Grow a bolt-resistant hybrid like joy choy, and it holds beautifully through the cooling weeks. Those thick white stems stay crisp and juicy, and dropped into a hot pan with a little oil and ginger, the whole thing goes from garden to plate in about 5 minutes. One thing the store can't give you: fresh-cut bok choy has a crunch and sweetness that starts fading within days of harvest, which is why the grocery version always tastes like a rumor of the real thing. Fast in, fast out, zero drama. Next, number 7, Swiss chard. 2/3 of the way in, so here's a fresh reason to stay. This is the one plant you'll still be cutting from months from now, from a single sowing. And it happens to be the most beautiful thing in the entire garden. Grow the rainbow kind. Bright lights is the classic, and the stems come up neon. Fire engine red, hot pink, electric yellow, orange. It's edible stained glass with the sun behind it. But the looks aren't even the reason it earns a spot. Chard is the ultimate cut-and-come-again crop. You never rip out the whole plant. You harvest the biggest outer leaves, the center keeps pushing new ones, and you repeat that for months. One August planting can hand you leaf after leaf, clear into winter, because chard shrugs off the frost that flattens tender greens. Here's the insider bit. Most people only figure out after they've grown it. On a chard plant, the leaf and the stem are 2 different ingredients. The leaf cooks exactly like spinach, wilted in a hot pan in under 2 minutes. The thick stem needs 4 or 5 minutes more. So when you cook it, separate them. Start the chopped stems first, then throw the leaves in at the end. 1 plant, 2 textures, 1 pan. It matures in about 50 to 60 days for full leaves, but you can start snipping baby leaves far sooner. Cut the outermost stalks right at the base, always leave the growing center alone, and it just keeps feeding you. Number 8, spinach. Here's where fall gardening stops being clever and starts feeling like a genuine secret. Spinach planted in August isn't just a fall crop. In a lot of climates, with a little help, it becomes a winter crop that keeps feeding you when the rest of the garden is bare dirt. Spinach hates heat and loves cold. It's the one crop on this list where you actually want to wait for the back half of August, because its seed sulks in hot soil, above about 85 Fahrenheit, roughly 30 Celsius, germination stalls. Let the soil cool a touch, get it up, and once it's established, it is astonishingly tough. Mature, hardened-off spinach can survive temperatures well below freezing. Throw a simple row cover or a cold frame over an established patch, and, in milder zones, you'll be picking dark, thick, frost-sweetened leaves in December and January, while your neighbors are buying that sad plastic clamshell from the store. In colder zones, it may pause through the deep freeze and then explode back to life the moment things thaw. Either way, you win. Grow Bloomsdale Long-Standing, the classic slow-to-bolt variety, or anything labeled slow bolt. It's ready to start cutting in 40 to 45 days. And once again, harvest the outer leaves, leave the crown, let it keep going. Plant a patch now, tuck it under cover when the cold really lands, and you've stretched your growing season by months for the price of one seed packet. Number 9, kale. And here it is, the one I promised you at the very start, and again a few minutes ago. The crop that gets sweeter every single time the temperature drops. If you plant only one thing off this entire list, plant this. Kale is the king of the cold. Everything we've talked about, that starch to sugar survival trick, kale does harder and more deliciously than anything else here. Kale you eat in summer is honestly a little tough and bitter, but let it ride through a few hard frosts and it transforms. The bitterness vanishes and the leaves turn genuinely, unmistakably sweet. Ask any serious grower and they'll tell you the same thing. They won't touch their own kale until the first real frost has hit it, because that's the version worth waiting for. This is that November payoff. While everyone who quit in spring is buying tired kale trucked in from 1,000 miles away, you're walking out to the yard and cutting leaves that got sweeter because it got colder. It's ready in 55 to 65 days, and it is brutally cold hardy. Many types survive down to around 10 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly -12 Celsius, and in a lot of regions it stands right through the snow and keeps producing. Grow lacinato, the dark dinosaur skin Italian kale, for the best flavor and texture, and plant a little red Russian next to it for a frillier, even sweeter leaf. Harvest the lower leaves and let the plant keep growing tall from the top, and a healthy one will feed you clear into winter. That's the crop that separates the people who know their seasons from everyone else. And that's the whole list. Here's the truth of it. While the rest of the world decided the growing year was over back in spring, you've got radishes in 3 weeks and frost-sweetened kale that no amount of money can buy at any store. August was never the end. It was the door into the best eating of the entire year. And now you're one of the people who knows it. So tell me in the comments what you're planting this August. And drop your growing zone next to it, because someone gardening in your exact climate is reading this thread right now. I'll be reading your comments.